For the X-arch taping, we're going to begin with an anchor strip around the base of the metatarsal heads. You can go all the way around, or you can just go from the fifth to the first head. Once you have applied an anchor strip, we're going to begin with 1-inch tape, and we're going to start on the fifth metatarsal and go around the calcaneus to the first metatarsal. We're going to do the same thing, but this time starting on the first and going back laterally, coming up the medial side to the fifth. Then we'll perform it again, but this time going from the fourth metatarsal head medially around to the second metatarsal head. And then again from the second, going laterally back towards the fourth metatarsal head. And then for our last two strips, we're going to start at the third and go around the medial side, back up to the third metatarsal head, and then once more, but this time going down the lateral side up to the middle, connecting back to the third metatarsal head. After all of those strips are complete, you're going to get your 1.5-inch tape and begin to close it. And again, you can go all the way around, or you can just go from the metatarsal head of 5 to metatarsal head of 1, or the other way. We're going to overlap these strips at about half and continue with the strips until it's fully closed. For the donut pad, you will take a piece of padding cut into a circular shape, cut a hole through the middle, and place it over the desired area to protect, and then you will cover the padding with cover roll. For the ankle wrap, we're going to use a horseshoe and place it just under the lateral malleolus and begin with an elastic bandage going around the foot first, making sure it's tight around the foot, and then we're going to go from distal to proximal, attempting to push that swelling and fluid out of the ankle area and foot and bring it up to the more proximal leg. You can also perform this by putting the horseshoe on the medial side, just depending on where the location of the swelling is. And as you go up, you can begin to loosen the elastic wrap. And then to close, we're just going to grab a clip and use that to close it off. For the closed basket weave with heel locks, we're going to begin with tough skin. After the tough skin, we will then apply heel and lace pads to the dorsal aspect of the foot, and then behind the calcaneus around the Achilles. After that, we will take pre-wrap and begin to cover all the surfaces that will be in contact with tape. Once we have completed with the pre-wrap, we will then take the 1.5-inch white tape and make an anchor strip at the top, followed by one more anchor strip. After the anchor strips, you'll then start with stirrups going from the inside or the medial side around to the outside or the lateral side. After performing the stirrups, you'll then create a horseshoe starting from under the medial malleolus, wrapping around to the lateral malleolus. After that, we'll do another stirrup, making sure to go under the calcaneus, back to the lateral side, performing another horseshoe with overlapping the tape about half or less. Then we'll complete with one last stirrup, again wrapping from the medial to the lateral side, and then finishing that off with another horseshoe. After completing the horseshoe, we'll then close up any areas that have not been covered yet before we continue with the heel locks. For the heel locks, we're going to begin on the lateral malleolus, go down to the plantar surface of the medial foot, continue behind the lateral calcaneus, around its base and up towards the medial malleolus. For our second heel lock, we're going to begin on the medial malleolus, continue down to the plantar surface of the lateral foot, behind the medial calcaneus, around its posterior base, and up towards the lateral malleolus. We will then complete each of these heel locks twice. Then we will close up the tape by covering up any loose ends. For the subtalar sling, we will use elasticon beginning at the base of the MTP joint where the metatarsal meets the phalange. We'll go on the lateral aspect around the calcaneus up the middle or the medial foot, and we will cut the tape there, and then we will make another strip, but this time beginning on the base of the 5th MTP joint where the metatarsal meets the phalange, going around the medial side behind the calcaneus up the lateral aspect and cutting the tape at the midline. Then we will close up the subtalar sling with 1.5 inch white tape, making sure to cover any loose ends to prevent the tape from slipping. For the Achilles tape, you will start with an anchor strip at the base of the calf, and you'll make another anchor strip on the midfoot. Then you'll grab 2 heel lace pads and cover the Achilles tendon with them. Then you'll take elasticon, place the foot in slight plantar flexion, attach the elasticon to the anchor at the midfoot, measure up to the anchor that's at the base of the calf, cut your elasticon, and then pull the elasticon tight to pull the foot into slight plantar flexion. Then you'll take another piece of elasticon, the same length, attach it at the base, and this time you'll have a cut and rip down the seam and wrap the straps around either side of the leg. You'll repeat this step with 2 additional strips. With each additional strip that is ripped, it will be placed slightly lower than the strip before. After you have placed the final strip, then you will close the bottom anchor and the top anchor with Power Flex. For the thumb spica, we're going to begin with Power Flex, wrapping around the wrist and up through the thumb. Once you have completed it with Power Flex, we're going to take the 1-inch elasticon and wrap around the outside or the dorsal side of the wrist. Wrap up around the MCP joint of the thumb, pulling tight to prevent the extension and pulling back around to the dorsal side of the hand. Cut that tape, and then we're going to begin again the exact same direction. We're making sure to cover that MCP joint and pulling tight right there to prevent the extension, and wrapping back around and cutting, and we'll perform 3 of these spicas. After completing these spicas, we're going to take the 1.5-inch white tape and close up to prevent those spicas from slipping.